Hello, good afternoon, or good evening, or good morning. Let me know what time it is with you and where you are in the world. In the UK, it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I've just had lunch and now I've come to spend a little time here with you, lovely lot. So please do write in the chat and tell me how you're feeling and what's going on with you. I've got Hunza was straight away in there with a message before I'd even gone live. So thank you, Hunza. You said, "Dear Madam Teacher Anna, huge congratulations." So you should have an S on the end there. Congratulations. Okay, congratulations. Always has an S on the end. I really, truly appreciate you. Amazing, great. So I really appreciate your amazing, great, brilliant job and effort. Effort just needs an R after the O. God bless you and God bless the UK. Warm greetings from Central Europe. You don't need the, so from Central Europe. Fantastic. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Okay, Salvatore, you said it's 2 o'clock in France. Hello. Or should I say bonjour or hello? Lovely for you to be here. Thank you so much. And yes, why are we here today? We are here with a million questions in English. I'm not actually going to answer or talk about a million different questions, but the phrase "a million questions" is something that you will hear often. Let me just put it on screen here. Bear with me as I type this in. A million questions. So I might say, I went to school today and the kids just bombarded me with a million questions. Now, it's not a million questions. This phrase just means lots of. So I might say to you, "Oh, can we sit down and have a chat about the thing that you do? Maybe you make pottery. And I'm really interested in pottery. Do you mind if we have a chat? I've got a million questions that I want to ask you." So it's not literal, it's metaphorical. It just means I have a lot of questions. Okay. So today I'm going to answer a lot of questions. So if you have a specific question, then you can pop it in the chat and I will try to be as attentive to the chat room as I can be to make sure that you're answered. I've also asked in advance for questions. And I might also add in some kind of generic questions that I'm going to ask you to answer. Okay, so there's lots going on today. It's pretty chilled, very laid back. Fantastic. So, Thomas, how are you? You've said, "How's it going?" You look stunning. Oh, bless you. Thank you very much. Good lighting. Good lighting helps. It kind of takes away the shade that shows the wrinkles. I appreciate that. A compliment, though. Thank you so much. So the reason we are doing, of course, this million question live stream on a Saturday afternoon is because something very exciting is close. This is where we are, subscribers. We are very close to that big number, that milestone. And a million subscribers, although it's what we call in the industry a vanity metric. It doesn't actually mean anything in terms of, it's not reflective of income. It's not reflective of how many people you can actually reach, because that's more to do with views and watch time, how many people actually watch my content these days. And so it's not reflective of anything kind of real world, but it is reflective of commitment and time and learning, learning how to do YouTube in a way that helps you to reach a wide audience. There we go, getting closer. It takes time. And I've been doing this for 8 years, I think, 7 or 8 years. And, I think that you hope that it would happen a lot faster. But I realize, having done many channels, that it doesn't happen overnight. And oh no, I've lost a subscriber. Ah. Oh no, it's going to go downhill. There we go. It's all going downhill. It's all going tits up, I might say. It's all going tits up. Here we go. I'm going to give you phrases as we go through. So if something goes tits up, it all goes wrong. And today could go tits up. I'm here live streaming, hoping that we'll hit 1 million subscribers while I'm live streaming. But I could have a mass exodus. A mass exodus is when people all leave in one big go. So if you're in a theatre and you say something in the theatre that people don't like, they might all decide to get up and leave to show, oh, there we go. Oh my goodness me, a real mass exodus. Oh, phew, they've come back. So a mass exodus when people get up and leave en masse in a big group. And that does happen, doesn't it? Maybe you have a political rally and all these people come to hear you say all the things they want to hear, but then you say something that goes against what they believe and they don't like what you say. So everyone gets up and they walk out, boo, and they leave. Mass exodus. So we could experience a mass exodus. And in that case, I would say it's all gone tits up. Now, this is very much an informal phrase because tits is a slang or a quite crude word for breasts, boobs. And so if you imagine something goes tits up, it could also be belly up. If something goes belly up, like a fish, if a fish goes belly up, then it's dead in the water. So there we go. Learn some really helpful, really good English here on English Like a Native. Exciting times. So yes, I'm here to answer your questions, to thank you for helping me reach 1 million. There we go. It could go down a few times before it fully hits that number, but that's amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much, each and every one of you. And thank you, Mum, who's probably set up 5,000 accounts to follow me 5,000 times. I'm joking, of course. Yay, how exciting. So I'll now get another play button. That's what you get. That's what your reward from YouTube is. You get another plaque to put on the wall. And then you just sit back and wait for all the big exciting phone calls to come in. They don't really, but it's just onwards and upwards from here. So I'm going to start to look through your questions. If you have any specific questions that you'd like me to answer, please do put them into the chat now. I'm going to pull questions from different sources and let's go through this. So Thomas, you said, have you ever experienced any negative actions from YouTube regarding your channels? I mean, any copyright claims or demonetizing content? Yes, many times. So I have a number of channels. One of them is a singing teaching channel, which requires me to teach well-known songs. And I have always felt that if I am just singing the song and playing it myself on the piano, or if my friend who plays better than me is playing, then it wouldn't be a problem. But many times I've encountered copyright strikes. And if you have 3 copyright strikes at the same time or within a 30-day period, your whole channel gets deleted. And any channel that is on that account also gets deleted. So I've had a couple of strikes before because I've talked about the lyrics of a song. So it's like copyright even on the lyrics. Copyright is just so difficult to get around, especially in education. I would love to do more popular content. So I'd love to teach more singing, English through singing, English through song. I'd love to teach more pop culture materials. So I'd love to show you clips from films and show you how the accents work and how they differ. But the fear is always losing the entire channel and everything getting deleted by YouTube. I tried once teaching on a short I tried teaching English through listening to football and listening to the commentators. I don't know if anyone remembers this. And I showed a few clips of the commentators talking during a football match. And I instantly, like within a day, I got 2 big copyright strikes on those 2 shorts that I made. Even though it was mostly me, it was like 5 seconds of the football that I showed. I got a copyright strike. And so I try and avoid anything that would lose all the work that I've put in here. Okay, so could you make a series of British accents and history? So I do have many videos on British accents. They're quite tricky videos to make. I do have some more in mind to make. Yeah, so hopefully some more coming in time. Could you please tell me whether 4 or 5 months are sufficient to make me proficient in English? I am aware with English language well, but not fluent. Okay. 4 to 5 months, depending on how much time you're giving to your English studies, is a significant amount of time. And you can make big gains in 5 months. But you need the right resources. You need to be doing like daily practice. And I wouldn't say you could reach fluency in 5 months, but you can make a big difference to your English level in 5 months. We have an English fluency program, and we suggest you give it 12 months in order to reach a good level of fluency. So 5 months is not a huge amount of time, but it's enough to make a big difference. What is the easiest way to learn? The easiest way to learn is to learn while having fun. So to learn in a way that suits you. Many people will follow different methods that are presented to them that perhaps don't suit their learning style. And in that case, it takes longer, because if you're not enjoying it, it's just not as effective. You're not as present in your lessons. You need to do something that you enjoy. So, for example, I have gone through different levels of fitness in my life, and the times when I've been my most fit is when I've been doing the kinds of sports and activities that I enjoy. It's never when I've been regular at the gym, because I don't really enjoy going to the gym. And so I don't really work that hard. Like I went to the gym this morning and I did 5 minutes. No, I did 10 minutes of walking backwards uphill on the treadmill, because that's for my knee. And then I did 3 minutes of running as fast as I could, sprinting forwards, not backwards. And then I did 3 reps with some weights. And then I swam maybe 4 lengths in the pool. So I went to the gym, but I didn't really do very much. Now, if you'd have stuck me on a squash court and made me play 5 rounds in a competitive match, I would have been on the floor dying, because I'd be so tired. I'd be so sweaty. I would have worked so hard. So the answer to your question generally is just do it in a way that you enjoy. That's the best way. Okay. How did you decide to open this channel? I've just discovered you and benefit a lot from old accent live streams. Thank you very much. Oh, those old live streams. I look back sometimes and cringe, but I'm glad that you still find them useful. I'm glad that you've discovered me here. I decided to open the channel. If I'm being honest, it kind of came by accident. I felt like there was a gap in the YouTube content sphere. I felt like there was a gap for British English pronunciation and accent tutorials. So I originally started thinking more about that. I wanted to provide a resource that was helpful for English learners as well as actors. But obviously things change and develop. And I think if you are wanting a business to grow and be a long-term venture, then you have to listen to the people that are consuming your products. And so it's you guys that have helped to shape this channel. This channel has gone through so many changes. I've gone through many changes, but it's all based on you and your feedback and what you've enjoyed and not enjoyed. Okay. Did you have a pronunciation model while working on your accent? So I wouldn't say I had a specific model. I have always been a great fan of Emma Thompson and Dame Judi Dench. I used to watch a lot of Shakespearean plays and films. So I got inspiration from many places, but I didn't just model myself on one person. Okay. All right. Where would be your next move with the family, and what is your next move business-wise? Good question. Well, things are very unsettled for me personally at the moment, and actually this year we are looking. We are being forced into a move this year. And so everything is very much up in the air. This is a common phrase, up in the air. It's all up in the air at the moment. So you might hear someone say, it's all up in the air at the moment, if things are undecided. So I don't know where we are going to move to, but we are going to be moving unless something changes drastically. We're going to be moving. And initially, I thought this could be an opportunity for us to move abroad. But of course, when you've got 2 young children, it's not that easy. And because of Brexit, not my decision, because of Brexit, it's not as easy to move around within Europe as it would have been previously. So I don't see us moving abroad unless my partner gets a job that dictates us moving abroad. I would like to move abroad. So the answer to your question is, personally, there is a big move coming up this year. I don't know where it's going to be. It's going to be away from London because London is too expensive to live in. But wherever we go, we'll make it home. And work-wise, this year, the focus is very much on the podcast. I will be continuing to create some long-form videos that are not podcast. I know it's all been podcast recently, but there is a move back to long-form content. But building up the podcast, that seems to be the most beneficial to my students. We are going to be relaunching and creating more content in terms of courses and challenges. So it's just, more of the same really, and focused on the podcast mostly this year. It takes quite a lot of time and energy doing daily podcasts. So that's the most time consuming thing really. Where was I? I've lost my place. Okay. So if I missed your question, I'm sorry. I'm scrolling through now. Oh, there we are. I found it. Greetings from Afghanistan. Hello. Could you please tell me how to be fluent in English and how long it will take to be fluent? Okay. Asking how long will it take to be fluent is like asking how long is a piece of string. It really depends on where your starting point is. So what your level is now, how much time you have to commit to learning, what resources you use in order to become fluent, and what your dedication level is, how dedicated you are. Do you think about it all the time, or is it just a hobby, something you'd like, but it doesn't consume your thoughts? So it's very hard to give an exact time. As I said, with our fluency program, we normally have people coming in at a lower intermediate level, and we give you 12 months. And in those 12 months, we expect to see you to move to advanced level and feel confident in speaking English, writing in English, listening and reading. But it doesn't stop there. Even when you reach a high level, it doesn't stop. Learning another language is constant, and you have to see it that way, and you have to just enjoy the journey rather than being hugely goal orientated. You have to want to be on the journey and continue on the journey even when you reach certain milestones. So I think it's more about mindset. Learn to love it, find a routine that works, find a resource that works, and just know that you're forever on the learning journey. Okay. Okay, next. Oh, I see. You were asking about whether you could be fluent in 5 months because you're prepping for an interview at a journalism college. Fantastic. Well, good luck for that. You've got 5 months to prepare. So one thing if you have an opportunity to take part in something online, if you have the budget and the time, then, we have some fantastic resources. The very baseline, our conversation club is an incredible resource, especially when people are preparing for something where they may need to have a conversation and do a speaking aspect. Our conversation club gives you so much in terms of resource and lots of opportunities to interact, build your speaking confidence, broaden your vocabulary, and make you feel much more comfortable as an English speaker. So I haven't got the link anywhere. Let me see if I've got the link. But you can find the Conversation Club on our website. Let me just get the link here for you. I'm completely unprepared. There you go. That's the link. So englishlikeanative.co.uk is the website, and you can find all sorts of things there. Should I leave that on for a little bit? You find all sorts of things there to help you. Okay. So, all right. I love your videos. Thank you. When I start listening to English, that's when I become able to speak a little more fluently. However, once I stop, I tend to forget English. Why is that? It's quite typical. The brain has a habit of dumping stuff that's not necessary. The brain is very efficient. So this reminds me of being in the kitchen with my partner. If my partner's cooking, I'm usually around him, milling around. To mill around is to kind of move about. I'm milling around behind him, tidying up, wiping down, putting things away, putting the lid back on the food recycling caddy that we have, and he finds it really frustrating because he'll put maybe the stirring spoon down on the side that he's using to cook with, and before he knows it, it's gone. I've taken it. I've been so efficient. I've taken it away and cleaned it up because I didn't realize he still needed it because he discarded it for a moment. And our brain is just like that. Even though you might still need the information, your brain will go, you haven't used this for a while. It's not important right now. Okay, let's dump it. What you'll find is the more you learn, the more you kind of revisit things, those memories do start to store more in the long term, and you'll find that you pick it up faster. So it's not always completely gone. You just need to reactivate those memories. And yeah, it's a constant thing. And I know exactly how you feel. I've learned many skills in the past that I've lost because I haven't kept them up. So you do have to keep practicing. Even if it's just listening, you do have to kind of keep revisiting. Okay, but best of luck with it. Salvatore, do you prefer to make podcasts or simple videos on YouTube? It's tricky. I am always up against it at the moment. Some great phrases coming out. Up against it. I'm always up against it. I wish I could bookmark where I'm at. So when I come down to put a comment on screen, I could go back to it. Yeah, so I am always up against it. This means that you always feel like you're fighting against the tide. Like I'm always struggling with life. At the moment, there's so much going on and I have very little time to sit down and focus on work. And when I do, there's a lot to do, too much to do. So it's always overwhelming. When you're a creative person, creativity doesn't always come so easily when you're under a lot of pressure. And I found that the more I've piled on the pressure, so doing a daily podcast, doing a daily YouTube video, trying to do long form content separately for you guys at the weekends, trying to do social media posting every single day, trying to then look after my students, improve my courses, do my student live lessons, all the things that I do, my pronunciation assessments, looking after the business, my team, my teachers. The more I have to do that, the harder it is for me to be creative. I find I get anxious when I have to be creative because I know I don't have much time to do it. And then it's like a rush. It's like someone saying to you, I want you to make a masterpiece. I want you to cook the best meal you've ever cooked, but you've only got 10 minutes, go. It can be a little bit paralyzing. So I find doing the podcast a bit of a relief from that anxiety because it takes away some of the pressures. I don't have to look good. I don't have to set up the space. I don't have to set up the lights and everything. All I have to worry about is sound and content. And then I record. I can also easily replace elements of the podcast if there are issues, if the sound recording didn't work just for one moment, or if I said the wrong word, or I said something that doesn't quite sound right and I want to change it. It's a much easier form to work with than video. On the flip side, I really enjoyed when I had the time and the space to make more creative videos for you guys. I enjoyed thinking of the idea, writing the script, making the video, editing. I really enjoy editing, but it's all very time consuming. So it's a hard question to answer. I enjoy both forms very much. Okay, I am at level A1 level. Will I benefit from you even though I don't understand anything? Yes. I think even if you're at a low level, continuing to immerse yourself is useful. At a low level, I mean, at all levels, I recommend putting on subtitles. This is a live stream, so there won't be subtitles available for this for a while. But for most of at least my newer material, I always provide subtitles. I try and provide them in many different languages. So you can always turn on subtitles so you can read along. But just listening, getting used to the sounds is useful, yes. Okay. One of you has asked about collaborations. I am always looking to do collaborations. I'm trying to do one every month. So yes, more collaborations coming up. If you're not following the podcast, we are on all streaming platforms or most streaming platforms. So you can just look up the English Like a Native podcast. Well, my tea's at the perfect temperature. So come and follow the podcast and let me know what you think. How can we teach our 4-month-old baby English as a second language? Well, first of all, congratulations on having a little baby. It's a big deal, especially if it's your first. How can you teach your baby English? So exposure. I know a lot of parents who speak multiple languages with their children. So you just have to keep exposing them to it. Let them watch English cartoons, read English books to them, speak a mixture of your native tongue and English or whatever languages you want them to speak. Just use them naturally all the time and they will pick it up. And initially they might not even know the difference. I've seen children who are bilingual or brought up in bilingual houses at 3 years old, still kind of mixing languages to communicate. But then as they get older, you can start to teach them the differences. So yes, just expose them to as much English as possible. Lots of reading, TV, songs. There's so many resources available for kids online. Okay, just trying to find something. Natasha, how do you pick vocabulary for the 5-a-day episodes? Interestingly, the little ad that comes up at the beginning of the podcast now tells you that what we do is we actually reverse engineer it. So in most cases, we will record the longer episode that comes out on a Saturday, and then we look at the episode, because that's usually completely off the cuff, ad-libbed. So we don't think about it or pre-prepare it. It's off the cuff. So we just talk. And then we look through the transcript once it's created and highlight some interesting words and phrases, idioms, slang, phrasal verbs, anything that we think would be useful for you guys to know about. And then we use those for the 5-a-day episodes that come the week before the episode. So if you're a regular listener to the podcast, what you should notice is you learn 5 pieces of vocabulary every day from Monday to Friday. And then on Saturday, you hear an episode and you recognize a number of the words and phrases. And you say, oh, I know that word. I know that phrase. And it's this spaced repetition model. Obviously, then you would have to learn it and maybe write the stuff down. If you're trying to make the most of the 5 a day, you want to get a notebook. I do actually have a specific notebook that I had published for following the 5 a day, where you've got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. You write down the vocabulary, you do your practice writing on the other side. A little write-up of how you should use the podcast. That's available on Amazon. I don't have the link. I'm not very prepared. But it's just called, I don't know what it's called on Amazon, actually. English Vocabulary Workbook, I think it's called, 5 a day. Yeah, I'm not very good at this marketing stuff. But any notebook, just write the things down that you find interesting, that's new. Make it relevant to you by writing sentences that are relevant to you. And then, hopefully you'll start to grow your vocabulary. And when you hear the Saturday episode, you'll say, I know that phrase. Isn't that interesting? Okay. Any advice for ELT teachers? How they can improve themselves as English language teachers. So I actually have a lot of English teachers in my community. I'm going to take this off the screen. I have a lot of English language teachers in the community, and I think a good teacher is a teacher who is open to continuous learning. As a teacher myself, I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. And when I make mistakes, I own my mistakes. I'm not embarrassed about it. I just learn from it and move on. And I think the best teachers are the ones who follow that similar method. Language is complicated. It's used differently by different people. It's ever changing, ever evolving, and you have to keep evolving with it. And just keep open and keep learning. And so the students that I have in my community are there to continue their journey as English learners themselves, and they take what they learn and they then pass it on to their students. And we're all teachers in some respect. We're all passing on what we've learned to others in one way or another. So I guess my advice would be keep learning. Keep learning. You can never know enough about your subject. Okay, let me look at the comments. Thank you. Yes, learning is a lifelong journey. I think if we stop learning, then we just stop. We just stop. Okay, how do you find new topics for your lessons? Do you force yourself sometimes to develop a topic deeper without being fully involved in it? Mm, that's a good question. How do I find my topics? So sometimes topics are based around, there's a word for it, like, what's it called? There's a word, there's specific events that happen around year round. Like, we always have bonfire night, and we have Christmas, and then we have Chinese New Year and Easter and all these different festivals and events. Um, the start of the school year in September. So there are always kind of seasonal events that happen year on year on year. So that sometimes informs your decision of what to cover, because you're like, okay, we're coming up to that time of year again. Let's go for that. From a business point of view, one of the best ways, if you are working on YouTube, one of the best ways is to just go with what people are searching for. What do people want to know? So you look at like trending topics, and if you simply go into the search box, if you want to do something about phrasal verbs, for example, if you type into YouTube search or Google phrasal verbs, then it normally will auto-populate and give you some answers or some options of what it thinks you are going to ask about phrasal verbs. And that gives you a clue as to what is most asked, what's searched for the most. It might be phrasal verbs for work, phrasal verbs for school. Yeah. And that gives you an idea. And you go, oh, phrasal verbs for work. Yeah, if that's a popular subject, I could do that. Or you might look around at other creators in the same sort of sphere as you and see what they're doing and what's proving popular with their audience. Like, oh, okay, people seem to be really interested in the future tense. That seems to be working quite well for them at the moment. So maybe my audience will be interested in that as well. So it's rare these days that I just go, I would like to do something about this, because that's my idea and my passion. I did that a lot in the beginning when I was first doing YouTube. And I experimented a lot, and it didn't always work out well. The things that I think are interesting are not necessarily interesting to everybody else. So I learned very quickly to serve my audience, to just do what you guys are asking for, or what you seem to be more interested in, or what you seem to need, rather than just satisfying my desire as a creator. Okay. And let me see. Let me just try to find another question that I can give a good answer to. Here's an interesting one. Any tips for learning phrasal verbs easily? Phrasal verbs are not easy to learn because you can't batch learn. You can't just learn set rules to learn lots in one go. The best way to learn phrasal verbs is in context, and you have to make it fun, and you have to use spaced repetition and all the kind of memory tricks that are out there in order to remember them. Again, I do have a product for phrasal verbs. I have a phrasal verb booster course that is very popular. My students love it so much that when they buy the course, they do it 2-3 times, and they still rave about how much they love it. You can find it if you go onto my website and go to more and then courses, you'll find it somewhere in there. It's a bit buried, but the phrasal verb booster course is a very good course. It takes all the hard work out of it for you. So you just have to consume the content, and it will give you 300 phrasal verbs over 30 days if that's what you want. But it's a lifetime access course, so you can just do it in whichever time works for you. In fact, I'll leave that up for a little bit longer. Okay. I am a teacher of English as a foreign language, but I lack fluency. I need your help. So like I said, we have a lot of people in our community who are teachers of English. I have some people in the community who just joined us as a student of English and now have achieved C2 level and become a teacher of English because they love it so much, and they've now taken on their own students and are teaching English as a job. So my biggest recommendation is, if you have a desire to be fluent in English and you really want to get there, and especially if it's for professional reasons, invest in your goals. You'll get there a lot faster by investing. As a business owner, I invest in having mentors and having support groups, people that I can learn from. I invest in a new course every year to learn something more about how I can be a better teacher, how I can be a better creator and a better entrepreneur, business owner. If you want to reach a certain level in something, you should invest. And so I highly recommend coming and joining us. At the lowest level, you can become a Conversation Club member. You get a lot of resource. And at the highest level, you can join the Fluency program. Yeah, that's what I recommend. Otherwise, there's over 800 videos here that you can make use of. And obviously, loads of other creators doing amazing work as well. So make use of the things that are available. So, okay, so my problem is I don't have anyone around me learning English because I need to speak daily. My last problem is I don't have much time. Yeah, that's tricky. It's very tricky. If you don't have time and you don't have the resources, then even if you found the resources, you don't have time to use them. It's not impossible, but it is difficult. Having access to the internet does make a difference. You know, you can check out our Conversation Club. There is also something coming up very soon, that I'll be releasing a video about in the next couple of weeks, which might be the answer to your problems. So watch this space. For those of you with little time, but desperately need to speak to someone in English, just watch this space. There's something coming for you. Okay, what's my name? What's my name? Can I talk with you, sister? I find it funny when people call me mom or madam or sister. It's not something we do here. I think maybe in some of the schools, the teachers might ask the students to call them mom, but it's not really done here. I don't think I've ever called anyone mom. They do in America, as far as I'm aware, not in the UK. You do with the Queen, or you did with the late Queen. Yes, mom, but not like in general life. Madam is a funny one. I would call a cheeky, slightly naughty little girl madam. I would say, you're being a madam. Stop being a madam. Excuse me, madam. Stop having a tantrum. You know, so when someone calls me madam, it's a bit weird. And sister, yeah, we don't really do that either. What's my name? My name is Anna. Okay, disgusting comments are going to be blocked. Sorry, I didn't see that earlier. Thank you very much. You always get one, don't you? You always get one. What mindset or thinking should you have if you are learning a language? You have got to be relaxed and open to what the journey has to hold. So you have to be aware that it's a journey that's going to take time, that you're on for a while. You have to be experience driven, not so much goal orientated, because like I said, it's an ongoing journey. And you have to be forgiving of mistakes. You have to be in the mindset that mistakes are beneficial for your learning. Obviously, you don't want to just accept the mistakes and not learn from them. You want to be, oh, I made a mistake. You want to be, what's the word? slightly agitated. You do want to be annoyed slightly by your mistakes, but not to a point where it stops you. Only to a point where you do something about it. So, for example, I'm dyslexic, so I often make spelling errors. Spelling hasn't been my strong suit over the years, but I've improved a great deal because as an online content creator, especially as an English teacher, I will write things daily. I'm always writing content. And there are certain words that I really struggle to spell, and I'll spell them over and over again and just be like, I have to ask Alexa, or I have to say it quietly because otherwise she turns on. I have to ask the device in my house that talks to me, or I have to check on my phone or check on the internet. What's the spelling? Or check a dictionary. What's the spelling of this word? Just so I don't get it wrong again. And if it irritates you because you've done it so many times, then you should do something about it. And so making mistakes is great. And you should be in the mindset of mistakes are good, but in a way where you take action. So, for example, I couldn't spell necessary, and I would often use the word necessarily, not necessarily, not necessarily, but I couldn't spell it. And then I decided I'm going to take action. Let me look at the word. So now when I think of the word necessary, I think never eat celery, eat salad sandwiches and remain young. And that the first letters of each of those words from that sentence makes up necessary. Never eat celery, eat salad sandwiches and remain young. Okay, so that helped me to break the cycle of constantly spelling necessary wrong. So hope that answers your question in some way. Delete comments. Do I have any subjects with medical vocabulary? There are a couple of videos. If you go into someone's YouTube channel, there's normally a little, I know they constantly change YouTube layouts and things, but there's normally a little search bar somewhere on their main page, on their YouTube page. And you can, or maybe if you go into videos, there might be a search bar in their videos page. There are a couple of videos that I made. One is specifically about more like cardiology, and maybe the other one's more about like GP style phrases. But we definitely covered a couple more recently. I do have a video on this subject as well. So all the kind of grammar stuff, again, just go to search, type in had in the search on my videos and you'll find it. It's much easier for you to watch the videos that are well prepared and well presented than me trying to garble through it now. Okay, can I get your email address for collaboration? See if I message me on Instagram is my best answer, because if I give out my email address, what happens is I get overwhelmed with spam emails. And I already have one. I used to put my email address on the bottom of all my videos. And now that email account is unusable because it just is filled with spam and I can never use it for business. So I had to start up a new email account. So message me on Instagram. I have a slightly different handle. You can look for English Like a Native, or British English Pro is my handle on Instagram. And just send me a message there and I will pick it up. I'll try and pick it up. I can't make promises, but I'll try. Okay. All right, hang on. So talking about Instagram, I did ask a little while ago for some questions to be posed in advance. And there were some really great questions that came through that I want to address. Okay, so one person asked about how they can unfreeze. They said, "How can I unfreeze my tongue when it's time to speak?" So I don't know if you've ever felt like that. Like you have a certain level of English, but then when you have to speak, it's like you just get frozen. Like the words just don't come out. Um, Usually this is because of the stress release. So it's the stress response, the adrenaline, it clouds your mind and it makes it very hard for you to access the information that you need to talk or to speak in English at least. So one of the best ways to try and get past this initial anxiety is to try and prepare and put yourself into those situations where you feel a little bit more prepared. So this is called exposure therapy. You're going to expose yourself to the thing that's causing you to feel anxious. But if you do it in a way that's measured and has some planning to it. So for example, today I'm going to go to a coffee shop, or today I'm going to phone the council, or today I'm going to, I don't know, go to the post office and put something in the mail or ask for a price list. You know what you're going to do. So prepare a couple of lines. Now, you might have a couple of phrases prepared that are functional, and then you can prepare a couple of conversational phrases as well. So if you're going to the coffee shop, you could be preparing what you're going to order. So I would like to order 2 cappuccinos with oat milk, please. And they will probably ask you if you want chocolate dusting. And so you have to be prepared to hear that. Chocolate, yes, I'd like chocolate. And they might ask you if you'd like a biscuit, depending on where you're getting your coffee. And then they'll tell you how much it is. So you'll have your functional phrases ready and maybe try and change them so you're not always using the same default phrases. And then prepare a couple of conversational phrases. While they're making your coffee, you might comment on the weather, especially if you're in the UK. Or you might ask them if it's been busy in here today. That's something you might use for small talk. Anything location based, anything weather based is good small talk. So, it's quite busy in here today. Is it usually this busy? Or, it's raining a lot. It's terrible, this weather, isn't it? Or, it's a nice day, isn't it, today? I love it when the sun comes out. Just makes me feel happier. So just finding some phrases that you can throw in that might spark a conversation should start to make you feel a little bit more comfortable in just getting the words out in an unfamiliar situation. And doing that on a regular basis will help you. Otherwise, come and join the conversation club. That will help you to feel more confident for sure. Okay, loads and loads and loads of questions. I've seen more technical questions about like passive voice and things. Again, I've got lots of lessons on passive. Yeah, you're an amazing teacher. Thank you very much. I do appreciate that. Can you provide more information about the speaking class? What level is it for and so on? Also, what if I'm not sure about my level, maybe B1? I do have a level test on my website. I think it's the top banner of the website. When you go onto the website, you can do a very, very quick test. And this is a basic test to give you a basic idea. To fully understand someone's level, you can't just do it using an online test. You need to know like what's their speaking like, what's their listening like. It's not just a couple of multiple choice questions, but the quiz that we have does give you a basic level to give you a basic indication. So I recommend that. The speaking class or the speaking club, the conversation club, is for a mixture of levels. So in one class, we might have some C2 levels, we might have some lower B1s and B2s. Like I said, we have a lot of English teachers in there as well, but it's a real mix and we welcome anyone in. It does help if you've got at least a B1 level, but we do have some people who are slightly lower than B1. And you have time to prepare. There's pre-reading available a couple of days before. that will tell you what questions you're going to be asked. We'll give you some information about the topic and some vocabulary so you can fully prepare. And then the classes are held over Zoom. They're an hour long. Regardless of how big the class is, you're always then separated out into smaller speaking groups. So you're in more intimate groups of maybe 3 or 4 students in a room. And this changes halfway through. So you're not always with all the same people. It mixes up. So you get a good mixture of people in a space. And the teacher will come around and try to get to everyone if you have any specific questions. Or there's always like a wrap-up session at the end with the teacher where they discuss different things with you. So yeah, and you also have access to all the previous pre-reading. So there's a huge amount of resource there, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of lessons worth of pre-reading available to you. You get access to the Telegram group and some other bits and bobs as well. It's a really, really useful resource. It's $29 a month at the moment. It's a very affordable resource. There are 4 to 5 conversation classes per week. We put them at different times to try and reach at least 2 or 3 sessions across different time zones. And then with that, you also get access to a couple of live lessons each. Is it a couple or is it 4 live lessons as a conversation club? I think you might get 4 live lessons. Yes, you do. You get 4 live lessons as well. And these are live lessons where you can come on the video and interact with me. And so there's 2 with me and 2 with another teacher. One is more kind of grammar based and the other is more communication and pronunciation based. And they're great classes. And you also have access to the back catalogue of those classes as well. So very beneficial. Highly recommend it. And you can find it on the website if you are interested in joining. The thing is as well, you can join for a month and then leave if it's not for you. So I need free classes. Yeah, well, that's what YouTube is here for. The podcast as well. You know, there's huge amounts of free resources available to you. And that's part of the reason why I started, is to be able to reach people far and wide, providing resources for all levels and everybody. Okay. Okay, so let me just find some other questions. And then I'm going to ask you some questions. What foreign country would you like to visit the most? I've been to a lot of countries. So the first things that spring to mind are the countries I haven't really been to. I have been to Canada actually, but I haven't really seen the wilds of Canada. I'd love to see more of Canada because I like the outdoors and the mountains. I haven't been to Australia. I haven't been to New Zealand. I'd love to go there. Is there anywhere else? I've been to most places. That's a tricky one to answer. How's life in England? Life in England, when I think about all the things that are going on in the world right now, it seems very insensitive to complain about life in England. But things do seem a little bit bleak. And I'm not sure if that's my experience or if that's what I've been influenced to believe because of what's all over the news. I have to say that life in England is okay. Cost of living is quite high. It's very difficult to, the economy is slowing down. Everything's incredibly expensive and it's getting harder and harder to pay the bills, hence why we're moving. But I can't complain about life in England. You know, regardless of things getting worse than they used to be, we have healthcare, we have dentists, we have no shortages of food. I cannot complain. You know, there are lots of things going on in the world that are horrific. So life in England is good. Thank you for that question. Do I like espresso? I don't really drink espresso. I have difficulty with dizziness, constant dizziness, and I thought for a while it might be due to coffee. I did last week go for an eye test and discover I need to wear glasses. That's probably why I'm dizzy all the time, and I've been suffering with dizziness for the last 2 years. Go for an eye test, guys. If you feel dizzy, if you have headaches, it's probably worth getting your eyes checked because I've struggled for so long. And yeah, so you're going to start seeing more and more of me with glasses on when they get delivered. Have I watched any good films or TV series lately? We've been watching the Marvel films a lot lately, in batches, because we don't have the time to watch a full film in one sitting. So we've been watching, the name. What's the name? Not the X-Men. What's the one with Hulk and Iron Man and Spider-Man? Oh, what are they called? Those films. They are... I can't remember. I'm sure someone will tell me in the comments in just a moment. But those are the films we've been watching. I love a Marvel film. Avengers. Thank you very much. The Avengers. So we've been enjoying those. No. Is it possible to change my voice? Yes, absolutely. It is possible to change your voice. To a certain extent, it depends what aspect of your voice you want to change. I do have a masterclass on pronunciation that kind of talks about the ins and outs of that, which you can register for the next one on my website if you go to the pronunciation course page. How do Brits stand the cold with cold households and light clothes? I think you acclimatize wherever you are. I would wonder how most people in hot countries can cope, because I can't cope with anything over 30 degrees. But I think if you live in a hot country, your body gets used to it. Then again, I hate the cold and I hate this time of year. I don't use hate very often, but I do hate the winters in England. They are so depressing. It's just constantly a cold, drizzly, grey environment, and I don't like it at all. If you have the heating on in the house, then it's very dry and stale, and you get lots of condensation on the windows and mold. And I like to have the windows open. I like fresh air. I like feeling like I'm part of the outdoors. And so being cooped up in a hot, dry house because it's so cold outside is just not my cup of tea. It's not my cup of tea. Not my cup of tea at all. Do they drink brandy? Not many people drink brandy these days, I don't think. I always think of grandparents drinking brandy. How can I in Germany faster English spoken? I don't understand the question. I'm sorry. I don't know. I can't work out what that question is supposed to be. This is UK English, and it is UK British English is rather different to American English, but then it's also very similar. Brits and Americans can have a conversation and like completely understand one another, bar maybe a couple of misunderstandings or moments where one would have to say, what's that? What do you mean? Like the difference between chips. Chips for us is a warm potato side that you have with a meal. Like I'd have a burger with chips. But chips to an American are the cold baked snack that crunch in your mouth that you just have from a bag of chips, but we would call those crisps. So there are some very, very key differences. There's differences in grammar, pronunciation, and many words and phrases can be different as well. But we essentially understand each other. We essentially all speak English. All right. Have you visited with an ED at the end? Have you visited India? Yes, I have a couple of times. And I have very fond memories of my time in India. What will you say about the Indian accent? In what respect? I am a fan of all accents. I wish I could just switch into any accent I wanted because I love accents. Um, what do you? I don't. What do you want me to say about the Indian accent? It's it's fun. I think accents are fun. That's just generally my. I love accents. I think they're brilliant. Okay, let me see if there are any more questions here, and then I am going to switch things up a little bit. Ooh, 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 ooh. Oh, these silences always make me so uncomfortable. Someone asking if I'd go to Argentina. I've been to Argentina. I spent 3 weeks there. I absolutely loved it. Someone asking about my hobbies. My hobbies are mostly sport related. So I love playing squash. I enjoy climbing. I used to do gymnastics. I miss it so much, but I haven't done it for a long time. I like getting outdoors and walking in nature. How do you cope with 2 kids? Uh, I don't know. It's hard. I think life would be simpler if I was just a mum and not trying to run a business at the same time. It's very difficult to be a mum and work, especially when it's your own business and you have so much responsibility. I try to really be strict and disciplined about separating family time from work time. So when I'm working, I try to do it in the office, and the children are not allowed in here, or on very rare occasions they are, but mostly they're not allowed in here, so that I can focus. But when I'm with them, I put my phone away and I try very much to ignore work and be with them. I find that if I give them the attention that they need, then they are easier to manage. It's the times when I'm distracted, maybe something's going wrong with work or I'm really stressed because of work. That's when they become more difficult because they're not getting my full attention and what they need from me. So I try to be fair, and I also make sure that I get as much sleep as I can. I'm trying to be better with sleep and exercise and food. So look after yourself and then you can look after others. If you don't look after yourself, you can't look after others very well. There are loads of English. I think you mean versions of English, Marie. So yes, loads of versions of English out there. So American English, British English, Canadian English, Australian English, Indian English. There's loads of versions of English. I get confused about which one is fundamental to learn. How can I distinguish it? I mean, there are far too many idioms and phrasal verbs. Is that what you mean? Lots of different versions and you don't know which one's best to learn? Is that what you're... English content. Okay, you mean English content. Sorry, I missed that next bit. So there's lots of English content out there. You get confused about what's fundamental to learn. I guess one thing you can do is decide what's important for you when it comes to English. Why is English important? Are you using it for work? Is it for social reasons? Is it just for fun? If it's for work, which in many cases with my students, it's for work. So immerse yourself in the English work environment and you'll very quickly understand where your gaps are. And that's what's fundamental. You know, what's fundamental to you would be different fundamentally to somebody else. If you are a medical student and you want to be a doctor, maybe you want to be a brain surgeon. in the UK, or maybe you want to provide palliative care to people in an English speaking country, then your fundamental needs of English are going to be different. One needs some very specific medical vocabulary that's vital for the role that they're going to be playing as a brain surgeon, and the other needs, more a different set of language, and needs the ability to hear and understand elderly patients or patients that are, on death's door, basically. And so it really depends on your situation and what your gaps are. Yes, there's a lot out there to learn, but try not to look at the overwhelming mountain that is the English language, and just take it step by step. Just break it down little by little. This week I'm going to learn 10 new idioms, and next week I'm going to try and use them. And then the following week, I'm going to focus on business English. I'm going to learn some phrases that help me with conflict, because last week I had a conflict at work and I didn't really know what phrases to use. Okay. So, little and often. Don't look at the big mountain. Does the chance of getting a job in the UK increase if you have an upper middle class accent? This is a very tricky and divisive question. It shouldn't, but in some cases, it probably does. There has always been a level of snobbery. What's the word? I'm trying to find the word. Prejudice as well, perhaps. But I think what's more fundamental for getting a job and for increasing your chances is to speak clearly. So I think it's less about accent and more about communication skills. It takes time to adjust your accent. And in some cases, people are proud of where they're from, and changing your accent isn't necessary. Your accent is a part of who you are. You don't have to change it. But speaking more clearly, being understood when you speak, is going to make the biggest difference to your life, professionally, socially, and that will have an impact on your confidence. So I would focus less on accent and more on clarity, especially when it comes to professional opportunities. I hum every time there's a silence because I don't like the silence. I should have music playing in the background. Dee, dee, dee. Okay, Manuel. Hello, Manuel. Manuel has been a student with me for a very long time. Manuel, how long has it been now? It must be coming up to 2 years that you've been a member of my club, my conversation club. It's lovely to see you here. You say you're in doubt, over there or out there. So over there is very specifically saying something is in a position that is away from you. So if I were to point to one of my silver play buttons, I'd say, look at that play button over there. It's over there. It's on the other side of the room, or it's behind me. It's over there. So it's just something that's in a position that's not where you are. It's not here. It's over there. It doesn't need to be a short distance. It could be a long distance. I could say, someone here says, hi, I'm from France. And I'd say, hi, how are things over there? How are things over there? It's a very specific place somewhere else. Out there is like the general space outside of where you are. Okay, so it's not a specific place. It's a generic, wide expanse of space. So I'd say, hello, YouTube. Is there anyone out there? Is there anyone watching me? Is there anyone out there? Oh, hi, you're in France. How are things over there in that specific place there? Okay. I hope that clears up your doubts. Why some people pronounce words with flapped T. So the why, I don't really know why, to be honest, why accents develop. There are different reasons why accents develop with different people. In British English, the way we treat the T is less flapped. That's more American, better, city. In British English, you're more likely to hear the T, better, city, or like a glottal T, better, city. So it's different to a flap T. Okay. And it really depends on what area someone's come from, what they have heard, how much importance has been put on articulation growing up. I had a grandmother who was a language teacher herself, and she was very hot on making me pronounce my words properly. So if I ever said better, she'd say better, better. So I had an upbringing that kind of enforced better articulation. So it really depends on your upbringing, where you've been brought up, what accents you've been exposed to growing up. Anything else I can see? Okay, so I'm going to present some questions to you guys, because I think it's boring it all being about me. And, this whole channel, everything I do is to serve you. So let's hear some more from you. I want to know, what is your favorite thing to do in your spare time? So what is your favorite thing to do in your spare time? I'd like you to tell me what your favorite thing to do in your spare time is. So what are you going to do if you have a full day off and nothing to do? What would you do in that time? And while I'm waiting for your answers, John, oh, yes, you asked. I did answer about the differences between UK and US English. Maybe you joined a little later. But yes, there are some differences in British and American grammar, as well as vocabulary and pronunciation. It doesn't mean that we don't understand each other. And sometimes some of the forms and the grammar that's used in American English is also used here because we are exposed to it a lot. Same with spellings and some pronunciations, like the difference between schedule and schedule. Some Brits say schedule because we watch so much American television. And they're so close in pronunciation that it's hard to know. All right. So what is your favorite thing to do in your spare time? Adele, reading online, sleeping. So you enjoy sleeping. It's great. It's a good thing to do. Playing or to play football. So play comes first. You play football. I used to love playing football. I was captain of the girls' team at college. Reading newspapers and watching YouTube videos. Sitting alone, thinking nothing, just remain peaceful. I would say clearing my mind. Sitting alone, clearing my mind, just being peaceful. Going out with some friends, very nice. Reading books, sleeping and eating. I'm a big fan of eating as well. I usually watch YouTube. I love watching YouTube, hence I'm here with you at this moment. I appreciate you being here. Hi, Anna. Could you tell me what are the differences among the following sentences? I can do this work. That's not correct. I could do this work. Not correct. I might do this work. So none of them are correct. If you're asking the difference between can, could, and might, there is a lesson on this channel all about those differences. I can suggest I have the ability to do it. I can do it. I could is kind of more conditional. So I could, it usually has a condition. So I could go out if I had some money. I could help you if you ask me nicely. And I might suggest that there is it's not about the ability, it's about the willingness. There is a possibility that I would do it. I might. Okay, so if we're talking about work, if you phone me and say, can you work tomorrow? Yes, I'm free tomorrow. I can work tomorrow. Could you? It's almost a bit like asking if it's possible. You're not saying I need to work tomorrow, but you're saying there's a possibility I'm going to need you. So could you work tomorrow if I need you? Yes, I could work tomorrow if you need me. And then I would say to my partner, I might have to work tomorrow, because they asked me if I could work tomorrow. And I said, I am able to work if you need me. So I might. There's a possibility that I have to work tomorrow. If they call me, I don't know. I'll let you know when I know. Okay, that's a brief explanation. I hope that helps. Okay. Oh, knitting, crochet. That's what you like to do in your spare time. It's interesting. I used to do some knitting when I was younger. Not the same as crocheting, but just, plain old knitting. That was fun. With a silent K, by the way, everyone. Knitting, silent K. What's the opposite of the expression the dream come true? As in, like, so I'm assuming you mean the opposite, as in your worst nightmare has come true. And we do say that. So a dream come true is something that you couldn't even really imagine has actually happened. Something that you, like, when I started YouTube, the idea of having 1 million subscribers was a dream. And now my dream has come true. So this is a dream come true. If YouTube slapped me with 3 copyright strikes for something that I think is completely unfair and ban my channel, delete all my content, that would be my worst nightmare. So we tend to just say that something is your worst nightmare. We don't tend to say my worst nightmare come true. We just say, this is my worst nightmare. This is my worst nightmare. This is a dream come true. Okay. So about spare time, you said, regarding myself, I'd always read something in my free time. You could also say personally. That's a great way to say my input is, this is what I like to do. Personally, I always read in my free time. That's good. Reading is good. John, visiting relatives and we have a party, or we simply party. Visiting relatives and partying with friends. Erin, baking. Yum. Veg out. Lovely. To veg out is to chill out, to relax, to do nothing, to just lie back on the sofa and watch TV or listen to a podcast or something like that. Same as doing nothing. Yeah. I like watching football in my spare time. Fantastic. Go out with either my loved ones or friends, but it's always outside in the sunshine. I wish we had some sunshine. Okay, fantastic. Let me ask you another question. If you could have any superpower, I love this question. What would it be? So if you could have any superpower at all, what would your superpower be? I don't know what my superpower would be. I have a few that spring to mind. I always used to think it'd be amazing to fly. You just get up and fly and go wherever you want to go. And then I always think it'd be quite nice to know what people are thinking so that you never have to second guess what people really mean or what they really think. But let's find out what you guys would love to do if you could have any superpower. So your superpower would be speaking foreign languages. That would be cool, wouldn't it? Yeah, that would be a great one. If you could just speak all the languages, communicate with everyone, that would be amazing. It's almost like being a people whisperer. So to be able, and if you could transcend even language, but transcend like emotional barriers that people have. Some people won't talk. Some people don't open up. And so if you could literally talk to anyone and they open up to you and speak to you, that would be a really great superpower. You could do so much with that. Marif, you said to fly, time traveling. I think time traveling would be cool, but I think it'd also be a little bit scary. Telekinesis. Telekinesis is moving things with your mind, right? Where you make, like, I'm going to make this cup start lifting up just with the power of my mind. Yeah, that'd be cool. To be able to breathe underwater, yes. With it though, because I've done scuba diving and you get the pressurized issue with your ears, right? So, and you have to like come up slowly and all that. But I guess that's because you're breathing. Yeah. I mean, if you could just swim to the deepest depths of the ocean and also be able to deal with the pressure and be able to breathe underwater, that would be cool. Because breathing underwater would be great, but if you're restricted, you can't go so deep because of the pressure, then that would be a bit of a bummer. A bit of a bummer. If something is a bummer, that's slang. It just means rubbish. Oh, bummer. That makes you feel sad. Bummer. You might say, I'm bummed out. I'm bummed out. The word bum is such a funny word. My kids love it. My kids are at the age where, you know, everything's crude language like bum and wee and poo. And they just love it. And they found these horrendous songs on Alexa that just sing about bums and wees and stuff. But the word bum is funny. It is funny. I look a bit jittery. Am I losing signal? Maybe not. Anyway, to be bummed out or, oh, what a bummer. What a bummer. It makes me feel bummed out. Is anyone else answering the superpower question? Oh, that's an interesting one. I bring my fantasy into reality. Wow. If you could just have an impact on everything, if you could just think something and it just happen. I mean, wouldn't it be amazing if you could just sort out all of the world's problems? That would be an amazing superpower. Just everything that's going wrong, all the bad stuff, you could just sort it out. That would be great. I have a huge problem using the word off. I've noticed that off is used in so many ways. Haven't really thought about it. It's used a lot in phrasal verbs. Yeah. Yeah. So I think, so off. It's funny that you don't think about these things when it's your own language, but then people bring it up and you go, oh, yeah. So off obviously is the opposite of on. So we turn the lights on and we turn the lights off. That's the basic use of off. Then the majority of the uses of off are going to be within phrasal verbs. So if you say something has gone off, that means it's rotten. So I today went to put milk in my tea and I had a quick sniff because I always have to check the milk's okay because I'm very funny about my milk. Oh, I said, the milk's gone off. The milk's gone off. Sometimes people can be a bit off. So you can be off. So if I come onto the live stream and I'm like, hi guys, you okay? Yeah, great. Oh, good for you. If I'm a bit rude, if I'm a bit off, then we use that phrase that person is off today. What's wrong? You're a bit off today. What's going on? And it just means they're not in their normal mood. They're a little bit, they seem like something's wrong. Something's off. And we might say that as well. If something generally about a situation seems wrong, if I walk into my home and it's supposed to be empty and I get a sense that something's wrong, things don't seem to be in the right place, and I thought I heard a noise, then I might say, hang on, wait, don't come in the house. And I might call my partner and say, Nick, something's a bit off. I think I just heard someone upstairs. Something's off. I mean, something's not right. Okay, so if food has gone off, it's not right. Don't eat it. If someone's being a bit off, they're not right. There's something wrong. If a situation is a bit off, it's not right. When you disembark or remove yourself from something, you're normally getting off. You get off a horse, you step off a step, you step off the curb, which is the side of the pavement, into the road. What else do you off? We offload. There are many uses. You're right. And essentially, you just have to, again, not look at the mountain, just learn step by step, just climb step by step, learn bit by bit. Okay. Oh, you can go off, as in to leave. I'm off. See ya. Yeah, off is used a lot. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. Would this be your superpower, to be able to... Do you know, I read that briefly as change a diaper or to do a diaper. So diaper in America is the equivalent of a nappy in the UK, which is what you put on a baby's bottom to stop them making a mess. And I read that as to be able to do a diaper. Oh dear, I really do need glasses. I really do, because as soon as I saw it larger, I could understand. So to be able to disappear, to be invisible, yes, not just disappear, but remain, but unseen, so you could spy on people. That would be a very interesting power. More interesting would be how you would use such a superpower. Okay. Could you add some phonetic writings, if possible, on the pronunciation section of the podcasts? Oh, it's very difficult. It's very difficult. I tell you what. So at the moment, a moment of honesty, because, you know, I'm the kind of girl who wears my heart on my sleeve. At the moment, the podcast costs me quite a lot of money to make. And especially because I do daily podcasts, I produce transcripts for every podcast and vocabulary lists for the longer podcasts. And we do bonus material that's also has transcriptions done and checked. And we have a podcast manager, and we have 2 people who do proofreading, and we have someone doing the vocabulary lists. So I have a team of people helping me, and we have subscriptions to make sure the podcasts go out and are of a certain quality. And so the podcast costs me money, and it is a drain to the English like a native ecosystem, as it were. At the moment, I can't do more until the podcast at least pays for itself. So it's not very easy to monetize podcasting. I don't know how to monetize podcasting very easily. And so until the podcast is at least breaking even, I can't commit more offerings to what I already do, because it just I wouldn't be able to survive. And what would happen is I'd have to stop doing as much as I'm doing. And I've done it before. I've overcommitted, and then I've got to a point where I'm in financial trouble and have to stop. So not yet. Thank you for the suggestion. I will add it to the list of things that could possibly be next. But doing phonetics transcriptions alongside what we already do would be quite time consuming and would cost a lot more money. And so at the moment, no, but I will put it on the list for the roadmap, you would call it. I'll put it on the roadmap for future developments as and when we have enough Plus members to help cover the cost of the podcast. Which, if you love the podcast and you want to support it and you want to get those transcripts and the word lists, then become a Plus member. It's $5 a month. You get loads of stuff, loads of bonus content, and that really supports the podcast. How do you become a Plus member? If you go onto the website and go to the podcast section, there's an option to become a Plus member there. Let me show you the website again. There we go. That one. But thank you for the suggestion. I will write it down, I promise. Okay, so let me give you one more question, and then we have been here for an hour and a half. I'm going to have to wrap up. I've got work to do. I've got kids to look after. What could be a good final question? Here's a question for you. What would you like to see from the English? I'm going to say ELAN because that's what we call ourselves within the ELAN community, within my courses. Everyone who joins a course or the club is an ELANer. So English Like a Native, ELAN. What would you like to see from ELAN moving forward? So what do you love? What are we missing? What do you want? How can I and my team best serve you? What can we do that's reasonable for you? Some of you asked, well, some of the questions that came in were, what's your job? What do you do for a living? This is what I do. This is what I do. It's hard work. It's hard work, and it's very it's quite nerve-wracking when you have a job that's not secure, that you don't know what your income is going to be or how anything is going to perform. You know, I had a really successful children's channel, and it's still very successful, but it doesn't earn money anymore. It was a well-oiled machine before, and we had a team and a production set up, but we could afford because we earned the money through YouTube. And then overnight, it fell off a cliff because of a change in YouTube. And so working on YouTube and online completely depends on another company, and they can change the rules and not tell you. And it's quite nerve-wracking. But yes, this is my job, serving you. ELAN equals English Like a Native. So what would you like to see from English Like a Native, the podcast, the social media platforms, the YouTube channel? If you're a student with me inside our community, what would you like? Because I have my plans. I know what I'm working towards, but what do you actually want? What would you like? John, you've said arrange YouTube playlists according to learning level. That's interesting. That is interesting. Okay, let me write these things down. Let me make these official. YouTube playlists. It's difficult because in the past, most things just been aimed at generic, intermediate, and some advanced. But maybe moving forwards, we can be a lot more specific. Oh, not many comments coming through. Guys, what do you want? Do you know what you want? Maybe you're just kind of sitting back and enjoying the ride, letting me take the reins. I'd like to become fluent in English, though this is not my first language. Okay, well, stick with us, baby. We'll take you there. Elan is moving forward indeed. That's just my opinion. Thank you, Manuel. We are moving forward. And like I said earlier, there is a very exciting announcement coming in a few weeks. So look out for that. Something that's going to be useful for those of you who have little time, but a desire to improve, particularly your speaking. I like short videos about pronunciation. Okay. On YouTube or on other platforms? Pronunciation shorts. Because, I'm also on Instagram and TikTok. Although it's hard to do everything. It's very hard to do everything. Thank you for noticing my suggestion. Love and respect from Pakistan. You're welcome, John. You're welcome. More listening videos. So a lot of the podcast videos are essentially listening videos, but did you mean something even more specific? Like one of the formats is where I have a conversation with someone and then I break down afterwards some of the phrases used. Is that particular format one you preferred? More listening. Okay, how about having a platform for teachers' discussions? I've thought about having a separate platform for teachers. I thought about doing courses for teachers. It's on my, I am an eternal ideation creator. I'm always thinking up ideas and thinking about starting new businesses and new channels. I've actually started a number of new channels in the last 12 months. And even done a few videos, but then I just don't have the time. I have to really prioritize what I do, because I have to look after my students, and I have to follow through on my commitment to the podcast and to YouTube. And so having another platform for teachers, it also seems a little bit unnecessary, because the community that I already have, in which people come to be part of the conversation club, there are so many teachers within that just are part of the community, that separating it out, I found, doesn't work as well. Like, the community already is working very well as it is, and there are lots of teachers in there. So I'd say, if you're a teacher, just come and be part of my community. Obviously, if it's within your budget. I'd like to see more real everyday conversation videos, especially in various British accents. Okay. Conversation vids. Accents. On YouTube, and short videos for me are about 10 to 15 minutes. I don't like shorts. Okay. So that's basically what we call long form. But in your mind, like 10 minutes is a good amount of time. Okay. Anything else? Language of parenting and children. That conversation with Luke was very good. God, I'm glad you liked that. I might do more about parenting, teaching children, how to teach children English. I am greatly served at the moment. Nothing springs to my mind now. All the suggestions being given now are great ideas. Okay, fantastic. I'm glad you feel served, Marif. You have been a fantastic student. What about learning new expressions that are useful in daily conversations, or where students get the chance to widen their vocabulary? I do a lot of that, so I can just do more. Daily expressions. If any of you have found me recently, just joined on YouTube based on like the podcast episodes, there's a lot in the back catalogue of very different videos, different formats, more visual formats. So do take time to go to the video page and have a look around, because there's so much there I've covered so much in the 7 or 8 years that I've been here. So you'll find lots and lots to fill your boots with, to fill your boots. What time is it there now? It is now 2:45. 2:45 in London. Okay, good afternoon, Anna. Good afternoon. A lover of the British accent here and an English addict. I found myself years ago by chance. Oh, I think you mean you found me years ago by chance, maybe? Or you found yourself to be an English addict years ago. I must improve my speaking, interactive, one-line dialogues, shadowing IPA. Okay. All right. Dialogues for interacting. I got it. Well, I've got a number of videos, about 3 videos on the IPA. And a couple of shadowing, although any of the podcast videos could be used for shadowing purposes. I have a video on the shadowing method and how to use the podcast videos. That would be helpful for you. I look forward to the podcast every day. So glad I know you. Thank you. Giovanni, minimal pairs. Okay. I've had this one. I had that question earlier, Ahmed. Okay. Thank you so much. I'm going to wrap it up, I think, because I've kept you for such a long time, nearly 2 hours. I hope that you are going to have a lovely evening, afternoon. I bought a cake. To celebrate, and I've got some special candles to put on the top that say 1 million. So a 1 and 6 zeros. I will film the cake. I'm blowing out of the candles. And yeah, I just want to say a huge thank you once again. Look, we're doing okay. We're a healthy million now. Oh, who did that? What are you guys doing? Don't just leave at the point when I bring it on screen. That's just rude. Anyway, thank you for the 1,036,000 of you that have taken the time to come and hit that subscribe button. If you could hit the follow button, if you're following me on Facebook, if you could hit the like button on this video, that would be greatly appreciated. And we'll give YouTube all the right indications so that we can hack the algorithm. And if you do know anyone who's trying to learn English, then please send them our way. And as mentioned before, if you want to be part of an English learning community that is award-winning, by the way, we are a platinum awarded community for being incredibly engaged, then consider joining the Conversation Club or any of our courses. I'm very, very excited about hitting this milestone, and I'm very proud of all of you. And I'm looking forward to many more years of the same. So thank you very much. Have a lovely evening. Take very good care. And goodbye.